You are not your emotions, which is totally true. So then what's the point? Why even bother with them? Today is an episode you do not want to miss because this is vital information that people are getting confused and is keeping good-hearted spiritual people stuck. So let's get started.
Welcome to the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, a place for the strong, sensitive spiritual seeker to recognize the perfection of your human journey as of the emotional and spiritual worlds through proven and grounded frameworks that support you to live in the wholeness you already are. For over the past 2 decades, I have supported people from all around the world, as well as Fortune 500 companies, to dissolve the divisions within them and live with greater empowerment and love. This podcast is an exploration of the paradoxes that befuddle us as we live our lives being both human and divine. Together, you and I, along with other experts, will navigate integrating psychology and spirituality, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the darkness and the light, to create greater sacred union from within. I believe through your remembering that you are innately divine, that you will allow yourself to more openly shine. So let's get to it because your unique light is needed more than ever.
Hello, beautiful soul. Thank you for joining me in this vital episode. I'm so excited about today's topic because I feel like this is something that has needed to come forward. There is so much confusion around emotion. And today I really want to help us navigate our emotions with deeper understanding and deeper love. Because I think the confusion starts with the truth, which is you are not your emotions. You aren't your feelings. And so that truth, or is something that I witness as truth, is leaving people think that they've just got to change things in their minds or that they can override any negativity with the love that's in your heart. And that's such a powerful practice for you to be able to do and know that you are capable of doing. However, when we do that, we're missing the whole point of our emotions. So I want to clarify what I mean by this. So I think there are teachings that says as soon as you are experiencing an emotion, you are connecting to the past. And therefore, you are recreating your life based on your past over and over and over again, right? And this is true. We are recreating our based on our beliefs, and our emotions are so important because it's not just thought. It is a belief has that emotional energy that's tied to it. And so there's almost like this sense of like, well, if you're feeling a negative emotion, it's telling you that you're in the past and you can just get present to the love that you are now. Absolutely. And, and this is where we hold the both and, if your emotions keep coming up, if you keep getting triggered, there's an opportunity so that you can realign your subconscious so there's less efforting in your conscious mind. So the whole notion that we are not our emotions does not mean, where I think this has brought some confusion, that we just blow off our emotions, that we override it with the love that we are. Because this is good. This is good news that you're learning not to overly identify with what you're feeling. And at the same time, it doesn't mean let's just cast a lot of love and light over them and pretend this negative trigger didn't exist or that my love is more powerful. Your love is more powerful. And the love that is within your emotions is trying to guide you to remember that with greater and greater ease, with less efforting. Because what's happening is that then you have to go when a negative emotion arises and we're saying, okay, that's in the past, be in the present, bring more love. You've got to get into this state. You've got to create this state for yourself so that you're remembering the love you are. Beautiful. And the love of the divine wants you to access this love subconsciously without your efforting. And this is the point as to why you have feelings, why you are triggered. You're not your emotions, but they are a guide. And so just like it's you don't have to be the emotion, but you want to utilize them as a tool to how they are guiding you. That, yeah, something from the past is still being carried with you in this present moment, and the divine wants you to resolve this. It doesn't want you to spin in it. It doesn't want you to continue to suffer with it, which is why we must learn how to understand what our emotions are guiding us to understand about ourselves in that moment so that we don't have to keep repeating the past. And the opportunity is rather than try to squash the darkness with our light and love that we are, we recognize that in the darkness, there's always been love. And the difference here is that you are not fighting any aspect of who you are. You are meeting yourself exactly where you are at with honor, with grace, with compassion, with understanding that this is vital information to you. And there's nothing wrong with you that you're experiencing this. This is actually your next step to remembering more of the love that you are. And so it really is being able to hold the both and of knowing your potential, knowing how powerful your love is, that your love can expand in the darkness and you get in that state and it will just blow away that negative emotion, right? That's how powerful you are. That's how powerful your love is. And we go about our lives 95, some say 99% of our time subconsciously. And so the divine loves you so much that between 95 and 99% of the time that you are operating subconsciously, the divine wants you to more freely access and be in that state of love without efforting. And this is why we go to our emotions. They are loving guides. And so the whole invitation right now is if you have been taught that we can just, you're not your emotions, so let's blow them off, or let's just bring more love into them. And without understanding how they're trying to guide us to resolve something that's keeping us in our subconscious away from the love that we are, then to have grace because we've been taught doing the best that we can, but we've been taught in an imbalanced way if we're only going to focus on the mind. Because the mind is it tends to lean towards the masculine that we're going to overpower and we can overpower ourselves in this way. And integration, love is meant to be integrated with who we are as human beings and our divinity. And we need the feminine to meet us. So this is really a feminine way of our understanding ourselves and bringing us back into remembrance is that there is not one aspect of you that is bad or wrong. It's teaching you to remember who you are. And so we are invited to meet ourselves in the darkness and remember that love. So rather than try to overpower it, it's I'm going in. I'm going in. I'm going into the depths. And it is this going inward, where it's not ascending, that we have to ascend beyond who we are as humans to be enough. We are descending into the core of who we are to know the love that we are without a doubt. And every trigger, every emotion that arises is guiding us to see, so that we can see in the subconscious, so that we can see in the dark where we have not reclaimed that love yet. And that's why I am so incredibly passionate about this work, because right now it feels a little lopsided. We're going to focus on the mind, and it's all about the mind, because we recognize that consciousness is with our mind. But our mind is not just our conscious mind, it's our subconscious mind as well. And within our subconscious mind is our emotions. That's our access to the subconscious point. And this is where, when we meet ourselves and the part of ourselves that our ego wants to say is not love, our ego wants to say is wrong about us, and we can see our divinity there, we can remember the love that we are there, that's when that effortless, loving energy just it just kind of like explodes in your energy field like that. And what I so love and appreciate about integrating the feminine is that it becomes effortless. And so the masculine energy, which we need on our human journey, there's a lot of efforting, and we need to know that we are capable as humans. And the feminine energy wants to bring us greater ease, wants us to surrender to who we are, so we can meet ourselves where we're at, because that is always the point of our pure potential. And so what happens is that we can get ourselves in these states, and then we can really start to access our pure potential because we're in that state. But then we go back to our day-to-day life and we forget. And so our emotions are here to support us, so that in our day-to-day state, we're remembering more often than not. And that's why in this podcast, I always try to share with you when I'm forgetting, so that you can maybe relate to that, and so that you can see how I'm utilizing my emotions to remember. It's not bad that we forget. It's unraveling the ways that we tend to forget, honor them, because that's what it's like to be human. And then in that state, we remember our pure potential, because we've seen the love that we are at in the ways that our egos would like to judge us as less than. And this is where we want to be careful, because this is where we may have unintentionally integrated the patriarchy in our spirituality, where we only see it as an ascending model, where our humanity is not good, and we always have to constantly ascend to be better rather than descend to remember. And that's the invitation every time an emotion arises, because our emotions don't want us to be living from the past. It wants us to resolve that. And that's why each emotion has a unique guidance supporting you in that moment, how to remember the love and power that you are. And so this is always my hope, is that we learn the language of our emotions, that we start to utilize our emotions like we've learned to utilize astrology. Like astrology, we recognize that there's patterns happening all around us, and we can utilize the weather of the astrology to help us navigate. We don't throw away that guidance of the stars, even when they're maybe indicating that, oh, we've got a challenge up ahead, we've got a bump up ahead. We want to be able to do the same with our emotions. We want to be able to say, oh my goodness, I've been given this system, so that in each split moment, I can go to the remembering of the love that I am, not by powering over and saying, I've got to put my light on top of this negativity that I'm experiencing. It's I'm going in. I'm going into that darkness, going into that shame. And that's what really it means to truly process our emotions, is because then the trigger resolves because the shame is no longer there. Then we're more freely living, right? And so that's what I want for you, is that you don't have to effort so much. You can access your heart's loving energy, and you won't have to be in a meditative state to access it. And so this is where we want to shift that our whole being in mind, body, spirit, and emotion remembers the love that we are, knows the love that we are. And every time a negative feeling arises, it's the opportunity to be like, ooh, in this little circumstance here, here it is again, to support me, to see myself more clearly. What a gift. I get to see myself more clearly. And you're not going to get that lens, that subconscious lens, by just expanding your love without acknowledging the the reason, the guidance of your negative emotions, because they're here for a reason. Every aspect of you is here for a reason. So the invitation with this podcast is to really understand the difference between identifying with your emotions and utilizing them as a tool to help you remember your truth. You are not your emotions, and that is true. And they are here to support you, to understand any internal blockages of beliefs that you've been attached to. What a gift. What a gift. And so it's really knowing that emotions are different than thoughts. You know, thoughts come and go, but our emotions have an energy that's tied to them. And that energy being tied to them is what allows them to arise into our conscious mind, because it's kind of, we've got these beliefs going on in our subconscious. A trigger shows up, an emotion arises to say, woo, there's something here. There is an internal belief that's a wall of limitation. And we're not just going to try to plow through the wall. We are going to go to the wall to understand it so it dissolves. And we want to do this again because then we don't have to always have to come back to the same dang wall and say, oh my gosh, here it is again. Why am I here again? And this is exactly where I see good hearted spiritual people get stuck. They're using the tools from the hero's journey, which again is more masculine based, and not integrating the feminine that teaches us to dissolve and to, instead of to ascend, that we are going to go into the descent. And so, again, nothing wrong with the masculine. We want that. We need that when we rise in divine union with all aspects of ourselves. So it's not to poo-poo what you've learned in your hero's journey, and these masculine energetic tools, super important. And we are meant to use them in unison with the divine feminine. This is the whole point of the both and that you hear me talking about. So every time you shift this energy subconsciously, that you are able to live more freely, truly, as the divine love that you are, whether you are in darkness or you are in light, that you remember. And so it's about being able to be here with your pain and recognize the love in it. And it's such a beautiful skill because it teaches us self-compassion and compassion for others. And it liberates us from fighting aspects of who we are, fighting that we always have to be light to be loved. In the darkness, we are met with remembrance. So there's no more trying so hard to be enough. And that was the whole point of I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, is that that was my MO. I was always trying to better myself, and but with that there was a judgment, a shame around still getting triggered, certain emotions arising. And until I found the love of the feminine that was teaching me how to descend, how to utilize every emotion as love, as guidance to support us, to truly process from love all of who we are, every aspect of our past that has brought us here today, to recognize that as the perfect unfolding of our remembrance of who we are. And this is how we become one within us so that we can be aligned with the divine within us. And then it is so much easier to access our potential. We don't, and one more thing about this. If we don't do this, you can do all the visualizations. You can even remember and affirm that you are divine, pure potential. But if you don't feel it in your being, all those visualizations are coming from a lens of hope and not truth. And that's why our emotions are here. They want you to know without a doubt the truth of who you are. And we'll forget, and I'll forget, and then we get to remember more and more quickly. And so I've got something that I'm really excited to share with you. It's a free class. It's called Emotional Alchemy of the Heart. And the reason why I love this is because I'm going to take you through an experience that helps you to understand the difference between how our mind thinks it has processed an emotion and what it is actually like, the deeper way that the divine is taking us to the descent to truly know the love that we are. And of course, you know me, I'm going to use myself as an example and a trigger that I felt, and really share with you where my mind took it or would have taken it in the past to say, okay, my mind gets it. This is good, and where my essence was guiding me to go with this emotion. And again, this is going, I want it to be very much experiential for you. I will include a guide afterwards for you, but the whole point of the feminine is to experience it in our bodies, experience the shifts in our bodies, and then let our minds catch up. And what's happening right now in this world of where we're trying to heal and we're trying to work through our challenges is that our mind can get it, and then we're like, okay, I'm good, but really we're not. But then our mind's judging us. Well, I should get it because I've got the insight. But just because your mind has the insight does not mean it's embodied. And it's from this embodied place of remembering the love that you are, that you're also remembering the power that you are. And this is when you can radically shift your life. So I hope this makes sense. I will put in the show notes how you can join my free class, Emotional Alchemy of the Heart. It's at michelleburcell.com. You'll see a link there, but it's also michelleburcell.com, emotional alchemy of the heart. So I hope you join me. And it's this truly is my passion because obviously I've been trained as a psychotherapist, and then I've always, since my 20s, have gone on this path of a spiritual path, and they've always just seemed so separated. You can totally grow on the spiritual path, but I just feel like there's more depth that the psychological wants to, or is inviting us to really understand, and vice versa. You can go on the psychological path, but if we're not integrating the wholeness of who we are, the mind can get it, but the rest of us just won't fully feel that integration. So that's my invitation to you. Join me. It's a free class, Emotional Alchemy of the Heart, and then you'll have a guidebook that will support you to start to understand how to get the language of our emotions from love, and it will show you my step-by-step process of emotional alchemy, what it looks like to truly alchemize our emotions in mind, body, spirit, and emotion. So I hope this supports you. I honor you for knowing, innately knowing that there is something to your emotions, and that you're willing to integrate the feminine in your understanding of self. And in doing so, create divine union within with the healthy masculine and feminine, fully integrated from love. So, where I want to leave you is to encourage you to shift from playing the short game with your thoughts and changing your thoughts to playing the long game with your emotions. Because being able to shift our thoughts, that comes and goes. The thoughts come back in, and we're left again trying to fight or defend something that is within us that is causing us fear. And emotions are guiding us to play the long game, where we are willing to go in and process that fear from love in mind, body, spirit, and emotion, so that our nature, our subconscious functioning is happening more and more from love. So, this is an opportunity for us. This is how we expand all of our consciousness, the consciousness of our a mind that is awake, that's consciously aware, and our subconscious mind that is having us live out so much of our lives. And every emotion we feel is an opportunity to get in there, to play the long game, to remember the love that we are. So, until next time, please know that there is nothing to fix, just to remember.
I am so honored you have joined me today. If you enjoyed the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, subscribe so you don't miss any of our power-filled episodes. Also, if you know another who is strong, sensitive, and spiritual and wants to dive deeper into emotions and ancient wisdom so they too can create profound peace and fulfillment from within, please share this podcast. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to reconnecting with you soon.